Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, March the 4th, 2025. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. This podcast covers the national champions. You guys have been such devoted users and watchers and listeners that we are continuing to add advertisers, which is tremendous, and we appreciate that. The latest, Ridge Wallet. This is my new wallet. No one's messing with it. Lots of different colors. This is like khaki, tan, rawhide color. If you saw Dave's yesterday, he's got the metal opaque one. If you're still carrying around like a bulky, overstuffed wallet like George Costanza, you are in luck. Ridge wallets are extremely thin, securely hold up to 12 cards plus cash without adding unnecessary bulk. I mean, look at this thing. It's so sleek. It's got a little strap. It's got spots in there for everything. It is killer. But there's other great stuff to it. Here's another thing. Look how big it is compared to your phone. See this? That's awesome. A slimmer Ridge wallet helps keep your posture balanced and your back pain-free. God knows I need it. But here's really something cool about it. Every Ridge wallet comes with RFID blocking technology to protect you from digital pickpockets. That's right. Scammers can now scan your pockets and steal your credit card information wirelessly. Ridge has you covered. So for a limited time, Ridge is having a crazy sale. Get up to 40% off your order by going to ridge.com/Bucknuts. Once in a year sale. It's right now. It's your anniversary sale. Once again, 40% off. Ridge.com, RIDGE.com/Bucknuts to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. I am telling you, this is a very cool. We got 3 great sponsors today. 3 great ones. Nothing about taking your pants off or anything like that. So it'll be good. And look who we got here. 2 modern warriors on the recruiting trail. Look at it. Look at you. Look at you.
Mine's an open up foldable one. I got all kinds of cool stuff. I've been using Ridge wallets forever. There you go.
It really is. It's the modern way to go. Yeah. I'm telling you. We do a lot of products on here.
I upgraded from the rubber band. Just the rubber band around my money, around the wallet. And yeah, Ridge was definitely an upgrade from a rubber band.
If you see a guy take out his money and it's held together with those blue produce rubber bands, you're in trouble. He's in the mafia. Okay. Mika, it's not khaki. I misspoke. It's leather, fake leather. Look, does khaki crack like that? I don't think so. All right. Let's talk about recruiting. If you have been on the Nutter of Buck, you have seen many, many dudes scheduling visits. This is the time of year where everyone's getting their schedule set up. And one theme, Bill, and you are the man for this, a lot of offensive linemen going to be coming through town. It does seem like we are the offensive lineman off-season podcast of choice here. And that is because Tyler Bowen has gone on Offerpalooza. I'm going to run you a list of names here, Bill. And you hit the ones you think are vital. But I think he's got scheduled visits from Evan Goodwin out of Arkansas. I know Tommy Tofi of San Francisco is considering. Cannon Smith out of Colorado. Deacon Schmidt out of Colorado. Felix Ojo out of Texas. Of these dudes, who do we need to discuss first?
Well, I would say all of them. No, they're all really good players. And you didn't even mention in there Max Riley and Sam Greer.
I was staying out of state for now, but we'll get there.
I mean, actually, Max Riley messaged me on Saturday and said, I'm going to be there April 1. And it wasn't an April Fool's joke, by the way. He also said, I'm going to be at Clemson March 24. So there's the 2, all, a week apart. He's going to get to both of them. And then we'll see what happens. Does he go ahead and make his decision then in April? We don't know yet. I don't think he knows yet. He's going to make those visits and see how that goes. But getting back to the guys that you mentioned, Dan, Evan Goodwin is a guy I think we need to talk out because he was Tyler Bowen's first offer as an Ohio State coach. And the mutual interest is absolutely there. If everything goes well, and not too many visits to Ohio State don't go well, if all goes well, then Evan is planning on scheduling an official visit to Ohio State. So, that would be the next step, so to speak. He is from, as you have mentioned, Dan, Bauxite, Arkansas.
Of course, who isn't?
Not exactly your hotbed for Ohio State recruiting, but he is certainly a hot prospect. And he's already got official visits scheduled to Missouri, Notre Dame, and Mississippi State in that order. And then, like I said, providing everything goes well, when he visits Ohio State April 4th and 5th, I think he'll get an official visit scheduled with the Buckeyes as well.
He looks great, by the way, off the hoof. If you see him, if you saw him walk in the room, you would have no question what position he played. Tell me about the two kids from Colorado, Cannon Smith and Deacon Schmidt. Colorado, we've gone in there a little bit, but I bet they've never offered two offensive linemen in the same cycle from Colorado. If they have, it's been rare.
Yeah, I mean, Cannon Smith, he's another one that just scheduled an official visit to Ohio State. He is from Valor Christian High School in Littleton, Colorado, 6'5", 260, and plays tackle for his school, but he is being recruited by Ohio State and the other schools for that matter as an interior offensive lineman. He also has other official visits scheduled. He's got Penn State, he's got UCLA and Michigan. This will be his first visit to Ohio State, and he is absolutely looking forward to it. So
hold on a sec, Bill. I just looked it up, and I was right. Valor Christian's legit. That's where the McCaffreys went. So that's real football. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's plays good competition, and he's one of the top prospects in the state of Colorado, top 5 prospects in the state of Colorado. And, I wouldn't put Colorado up there with Ohio for high school football talent, but it's still got some pretty good talent in that state.
All right. Deacon Schmidt.
Deacon Schmidt. He is one of the first guys, actually, as Coach Bowen was offering scholarships and that kind of thing. He was one of the first guys I ended up talking to. He is from Windsor, Colorado, 6'5", about 320. Another guy that has official visits scheduled elsewhere right now, Oklahoma, June 6th. He's going to go to. After that, Nebraska and Tennessee. So that's a pretty good list right there. But his offer list is also made up of schools that, besides Ohio State, that are big-time schools, including Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, to name a few. So, he's a kid that does not have a visit scheduled to Ohio State right now, but he's going to be making his first Ohio State visit this spring, and he's pretty excited about it, to be honest.
All right, wrap it up with Felix Ojo out of Texas, another big offensive lineman.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Ohio State, they don't always necessarily get into in-depth conversations or early on with kids about the exact position, but it's not early on with Felix Ojo. He earned an Ohio State scholarship offer. Mark and I saw him at Ohio State's camp last June. He earned a scholarship offer. He's one of the top tackles in the country, and Ohio State has already told him, you are being recruited as a, guess what it would be, left tackle. And they're not recruiting just anybody for the left tackle spots, certainly. So he is from Lake Ridge High School in Mansfield, Texas, and I right now think his decision will likely get him out of Texas. We'll see. He's got Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, Ohio State, and Ole Miss all scheduled for official visits. He will be at Ohio State May 30th to the June 1st weekend.
I don't know what happened to everyone else. My computer glitched for a little bit there. Bill, could you repeat who you think it will come down to? I apologize for that.
I think it'll be, as things stand right now, I think the two schools at the top of his list, and I don't know that I'd necessarily put him in any order right now. Maybe Texas has the slight edge because he's an in-state kid, but Texas and Ohio State at the top.
All right, which brings us to our next topic. I think this is kind of interesting. I'm kind of ambushing you guys with this. The NFL draft is coming up. We just went to the NFL Combine. How much do you think that affects recruiting? Because as you're mentioning Texas and Ohio State here, it strikes me as many of their names of the guys you watched play in the playoffs are going to be called in the first 3 rounds. So obviously getting playoff caliber dudes is important. With the advent of the NIL, and I ask you both this, do you still get the vibe that getting to the NFL still has the same juice it did? Because that would be a strength for Ohio State. Mark, I'll let you take that one first. I just think it's very interesting with the Combine wrapping up.
I think the NFL juice is second to the NIL money. I think I heard someone say it the other day that the prestige of universities that used to recruit players has now been replaced by cash. And I'm scared to believe that, but I think it's a little bit true. And, like a prestigious university like Ohio State had no problem getting players. Now someone can buy a player away like a Tennessee or Miami of Florida, who doesn't have quite the prestige. But I think NFL and ability to get there ranks second highest, because when you're talking about kids that go to Ohio State, we said this the other day, they all think they're going to the NFL. If you don't, Urban Meyer was famous for saying that if you bring a player to my desk and you make me watch him, you're telling me this kid's an NFL player in 3 or 4 years. So that's what we're trying to sell to these kids. It's nice that you have a cushy locker room. It's nice that you have, all that type of stuff and the academics to go along with it. But, I remember watching the program. There's not 90,000 people showing up to do a chemistry experiment every week. So the football program and that part of it is important. And getting to the NFL, as you're, alluding to, yeah, I think that sticks. And I think when you can see your superheroes at the NFL Combine, and I mean superheroes, guys that just went through the playoffs and pulled off the national championship, those names became a little bit household and they stick. I mean, I don't think every kid from Texas and Florida has the Ohio State roster memorized, but the playoff run, seeing them 4 weeks in a row on primetime, there's some names that stick, and especially when you see them. The NFL channel does an awesome job of that combine all weekend. I mean, it's like every time I walk in my house, you flip on a TV and it's still on, and you're just constantly like you get tractor beamed into it again. Like, who's running? What's going on? So I think that takes over the entire country, and I think people are more into football like that than they've ever been. That was probably something 20 years ago that would have been too nerdy to watch. Now it's primetime TV.
I'll throw it to Bill in just a sec. I'll tell you how much the Combine has changed. As you can tell, it's now like a track meet, and these guys are training for the specific drills. They'll go work out in Arizona with these companies. You have to pay them a ton of money, and they get you ready for the Combine, so you test beautifully. When the Combine was first getting going, they purposely did not let the players even know what the drills were going to be, so you could not show up prepared in any way like that. You just kind of had to be in shape. So things have changed. William, your thoughts? I will tell you this. As I read every single piece of content you put out, because that's what I do, it seems like the common refrain among dudes now is Ohio State, the word champion or national champion or champs is in every quote. Do you still think the NFL is the main gig for these dudes? Or is it NIL? Or is it winning the championship? What's your vibe? You're the one who talks to these guys at the grassroots level more than anyone.
Well, I would agree. NIL up there at the top. I would agree. NFL is up there at the top too. And as you mentioned, Dan, a lot of them mention now, hey, they're the national champions. Why wouldn't I look at the national? If the national champions are looking at me, why wouldn't I look at them? As you were talking about that, Mark, got me to thinking for a second. It used to be not that many years ago that one of the first things, or one of the things that was almost always mentioned when you talk to recruits was facilities. They always seem to bring up facilities. That doesn't get brought up very much anymore. It gets on occasion, but not like it used to. So it's kind of like you said, Mark and Dan, NIL and development, and that all goes right hand in hand with NFL. Those things are really, really up there on the top of the totem pole, so to speak. And like I said, they do mention, why wouldn't I want to look at the national champions?
A quick digression. I think the NFL just surveyed all the NFL players and said, rank your owner, rank your locker room, rank your weight room. And they showed the pictures of the best weight room in the NFL and the worst weight room, or the best locker room and the worst locker room. Some of the worst looked absolutely atrocious for NFL. But like I've always said this, the Pitt Panthers and the Pittsburgh Steelers share a building, right? And when you walk in one door, you walk into the Pitt Panther side. And when you walk in the other door, it's a Steeler side. And the joke is, which side do you think is nicer when you walk into it? And everyone would say, oh, the Steelers. The Pitt Panthers outclasses that building because it's for recruiting. And
exactly. They already got you. You're signed when you get in there for the Steelers.
When you sign, yeah, it's nice. You walk into the nice, and they got the Super Bowls and all that stuff, and it's first class. But the college stuff is usually over the top because it's more about the flash of when you have someone on campus. But Bill said it. How often do Ohio State visits go wrong or people not have fun? Because you're walking them around Camelot. It's almost like a casino. Everything would be plated in gold. If everything in the weight room could be plated in gold, they would do it just to be better than Alabama and Georgia. So it's funny to see that the NFL isn't even on par with some of the college teams and how much they put into those resources. And, I think teacher just said how it made her happy to see that her son is happy because he is walking around Camelot right now, and everything he touches is made of gold, and it's all first class, from the things he puts in his body to the places he's working out.
Breaking Brad is a great name for a show. He comes at too high a cost. You are completely on point with this, Mark. And it strikes me as, as Dietrich comments here about her son, and we've talked about Devin a ton, kind of just because he's been almost a template recruit for Ohio State. And what you realize is we are asking this question, it's almost like, yes, Devin Sanchez is one of the guys who gets to consider that, the pros, but he's also the guy that gets to consider the NIL, right? So it's not like these guys are going either or, okay? If you're at the top of the food chain, and I think we all understand that Ohio State only recruits from the top of the food chain, those guys are not in an either or situation. They're getting NIL and they're going to the NFL. So I don't really think it's going to negatively affect Ohio State in any way. I guess the guy who's in the lurch would be the guy just below Ohio State, maybe like an Arkansas type recruit. You know what I'm saying? Who to get all the money from Arkansas and be their number one guy? Or do I want to go be the number 3 guy at Ohio State and get better professional development and only make $700,000 instead of $1 million? God, that's a tough decision to make at 18, isn't it? But good for those dudes. All right, I got to read one more ad here before we get going, and it's one you guys know. Gooder stylish sunglasses. Dave was out at spring training watching the Reds get it done, and he has got Gooder tan lines underneath his eyes because it's actually sunny out there as I sit in the grayish Gem City. But why you want Gooder sunglasses? Stylish sunnies starting at only $25 a pair. Buy 2 if you're the kind of guy who brings the expensive sunglasses out and doesn't wake up with them after a day of enjoying libations and such. This is the way you want to do it. 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns. Gooder is giving Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners free shipping. Go to gooder.com, GOODR.com/Bucknuts and use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's gooder.com/Bucknuts and use code Bucknuts for free shipping. The Ridge wallet is fire, and the Gooder sunglasses are fire. I've gotten much feedback on people who have used them or using them. And like I said, Gooder would not continue to advertise with us if you did not continue to wear their stuff. All right. We would like to talk now about a guy who I think is going to be a very interesting individual to follow over the next cycle, and that is Elbert Rock Hill, defensive back out of Akron Hoban. If he's not the highest rated guy in Ohio nationally, he's close. Could probably get it done on both sides of the ball. Bill, before Mark updates us and teases us, because Elbert Rock Hill is our Buckeye in the sky this week. We will open with Elbert Rock Hill. Later on this week, we're going to move to Tyler Atkinson, the linebacker out of Georgia. I think the way we're going to do it now is we'll bring you an Ohio guy earlier in the week, and maybe a national target later in the week, so we have a nice blend until we actually run out of Ohio targets. Hopefully will not happen. But now that I've set that up, Bill, your thoughts on the recruitment of Elbert Rock Hill. Let's bring it back to the start. Who offered him? Who talks to him? Where do they want to see him? Where do they rank him? What's your view of him, et cetera, et cetera. And then we will bring in the Poobah with his video, and it will be just a wonderful coverage.
Well, most people out there, I think, know Elbert Rock Hill is a cornerback from Akron Hoban. He also was a wide receiver, and I think Mark and I have talked about this before. He's good enough to play either one of those positions at the big time level. I mean, he's dynamic. I've seen him play in person, I think 3 games, and he's been tremendous, all 3 of them. As always, when he plays corner, he doesn't get thrown at very often, which is a smart thing on the part of other teams. But he can't be avoided when he has his hands on the ball when they're throwing him, when Akron Hoban's throwing him the ball. He's 5'10", 175 pounds. He's got offers from every school in the country pretty much. And it's going to be interesting. I haven't crystal balled right now to Ohio State. I liked where Ohio State was early on, but he's visiting schools and he's going through and there's going to be some big offers out there. There's no doubt about that. I will be.
When you say big offers, Bill, time out. When you say big offers, you don't mean like impressive schools.
No, I mean NIL offers.
Right, okay, I want to clarify, because back in the day, we used to say big offer, and it's like, wow, USC might be interested. No, that's not what he means. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
USC is very interested. In fact,
I get it.
I was going to say that he's going to do his spring visits, and he'll get back to Ohio State, but he also is going to get to a lot of these other schools again. He is then going to schedule official visits after his spring visits, and I will be pretty surprised if Rock does not make official visits to Ohio State, Oregon, USC, Alabama, and Penn State. I think, like I said, I'd be pretty surprised. That's a lot of visits, but you can do unlimited numbers of visits right now. So I think those will be visits for him. I think Michigan is certainly another one that he could make a visit to. So those are the schools right now that I see as the top contenders. And we all know, as I put on our site, I think answering a question the past week, we all know that Oregon has the wherewithal, the money, the NIL to bring a top Ohio guy from Ohio out to the state of Oregon. So, they can do that. We saw that with Trey McNutt.
Poobah?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll probably pull up the video here. When you say big offers, if you're a kid out there that wants to have big offers, you got to check boxes like Elbert Hill checks boxes on this film. It was one of the easiest films I ever did categorizing things. At first, we start off with him at safety because we're trying to show that he can do other things besides play corner. But the hardest thing for corners to do is play press and dare people to go over the top. There's no getting over the top on him because he's a 4.4 kid. He may be faster. He's been reported to be faster, but this route right here, there's no one over the top. He runs this route for the kid. Then he out jumps him and makes a play on the ball like he's the receiver. He's got ball skills for days. And of course, we have him here in off coverage. But if you test him deep, it's like he wins. They're not 50-50 balls for the offense. They're like 80-20 balls for Elbert. This one's my favorite because he climbs the ladder, goes up over his back like a rebound. In basketball, that's over the back. That's a foul.
That's all we're giving him. Go ahead.
Oh, we're not going to give him the hitting or the chase down or the offense.
You got to tune in today. I've been giving away too much of that. You got to tune in today to get some of the free stuff. You can allude to it and tease him.
Yeah, no, I mean, really, like we go through it by what he does on offense, what he does, and as far as being physical, he has a series of plays of physical, series of plays where you know how plays break away and you're like, oh, touchdown, other team. Oh, here comes the flash out of nowhere to knock them down at the 5 or 10 yard line and set those sticks up again. I was just about to get excited, and usually when we do that, we get the fans real excited about these guys. And after listening to Bill with some of those big offers, fingers crossed that we can keep him in Ohio, because he's certainly probably one of the most highest rated players in Ohio. But the explosion and that type of stuff is rare with this one. You know, he's from that Northeast Ohio region, and Denzel Ward, Duran Grant, Marshawn Lattimore, and Raw Talent one night. I think Duran Grant was there recently, and they were kind of talking about, is he one of those guys? Should he be mentioned? Is he better than those guys? And it was a interesting talk. At the end of it, it was just a big, you know, no, this one's got this one's got that. But Elbert is with that group of young men, and those are some of the best to ever come out of Northeast Ohio.
Mark, any concern about his height being 5'10"? I watched the combine this weekend. That's not ideal height at either position.
When you stand next to him, he does not come off as small. He comes off as a legit 5'10", maybe 5'11". He's truly your I want to say your normal cornerback height, which is what most of them are. I mean, when you get the Sanchez's and some of these other guys that do get the 6 foot 6'1", I mean, I saw a 6'2" corner at the combine. That's at the outer end. You know, there's not too many guys that, I mean, I think we talked years ago about the 6'4" corners out there. And I think Dallas had one. There was a Richard Sherman, but
he's from Kentucky. He didn't make it.
There's just not many guys that are that long at that position. So you can get the elite of the elite at 6'2", but for the most part, your day in and day out starters out there, 5'10", 5'11". The key with Elbert is the explosive ability. His arms look like they're long. I mean, you saw him go up over that player and, you know, elevate. So he does not come off. Let's put it this way. He's not the 5'8.5" corner saying he's 5'10". Okay. He's legit 5'10", 5'11". A lot of those 5'9" guys try to pass but this is not that case.
Got some questions coming up here. And like I said, if you want to know the real deal on Rock Hill, see the video, get Mark's super details that we did not share here. His Buckeye in the Sky will be up here shortly after the show. All right. There's a question about some of his teammates. The Feister brothers, is that how you pronounce the last name?
Feaster,
excuse me. These are dudes from Akron Hoban. I want to say one's going to be a sophomore, one's going to be a senior. Does that feel right to you guys?
One is definitely going to be a sophomore, and I think the other one is going to be
a junior or senior.
Yeah, I think he's going to be going into his senior year.
You want to tell us who they are, Mark, and what you think of them, and just maybe introduce the group to them a little bit. The freshman, I'd like to put it this way: if he was pitching in the Little League World Series, people would be calling him Danny Almonte. He don't look like a freshman.
Yes, the younger brother, we met at a showcase last year when he was a freshman, coming out of his freshman year, and he's a defensive end. He looked as good as any freshman I've ever seen. I know we showed the pictures last year of him. Played this year, got on the field, but his brother is the show. His brother is the tailback, and boy, I mean, when we saw them against St. Ed's, I know we did the breakdown because I remember saying this on the podcast. I was standing with a bunch of old timers from St. Ed's, and Feaster came around the ed and blew through a couple of the St. Ed's players, and those guys all looked at each other, and their hair was blown back. Like, this kid is a beast. When he runs, he is probably the most physical runner in Ohio. I think he has good enough speed to stay a tailback. I think he is your downhill bruiser, carry people type tailback. His offer list really blew up here in the last couple months. I think he's up over 20 offers now, and some of the bigger offers are coming in. Wouldn't be surprised, again, another Campkin for Ohio State, that they'll kick the tires on him. He doesn't fit the traditional tailback mold for Ohio State. I mean, they have some guys that are going to run 4.4. He's not a 4.4 kid, but he's a style. Like, you know how we took the kid from West Virginia, recently, the big bruiser.
EJ Donaldson. Yep.
There you go. Sorry. Yes, he would fit in that type of mold. So if you were always going to have like a 1-2 punch, which is what we're kind of doing now, he'd be part of your thunder, not the lightning, but he'd be your thunder punch.
Yeah. And by the way, his first name is Brayton Feaster. And as Mark said, he's a 2027 guy, 6'3", about 230. And the last Hoban game I went to was mid to late last season, and he ran wild. I think if I remember right, it was against Cleveland State Ignatius, I believe. And he had a big game playing running back. Might end up as a linebacker in college. But Mark alluded to his offer list is blowing up. It includes Kentucky, Indiana, Missouri, Cincinnati, Boston College, Wisconsin. So it's a good offer list. It doesn't include Ohio State right now, but he's on the radar screen. You certainly know about him.
Yeah, so Brayton is the tailback. He is class of 2027. So
correct.
He has a little time for that offer list to go through the charts. And Bryden is the 2028 linebacker defensive end.
Washington, as in Huskies, has also offered Brayton.
That's interesting. I guess that's your Big Ten vibe tentacles reaching out to you a little bit there. All right, we have one more question here, and I'm going to read our final ad and let you guys go. Speaking of running backs, Jason Craven, how do we look for Savon Haider? If you have not seen the Savon Haider video that we featured last week, you missed out. Savon Haider is something special. I think it's fair to say, one of the better running back prospects we've probably looked at since this show started. William, your thoughts on where he stands in his recruitment? Obviously, you want to talk about offer lists. I'm surprised the Browns haven't gotten involved.
They do need a running back. Which by the way, you guys were talking earlier about what happened at the combine and the rating of the facility, all that kind of stuff. Coaches, and the Browns did not fare well in those rankings. They did not fare well overall. But anyway, Savon Haider, he's got 4
Browns gonna Browns.
Sorry,
I had to say that.
I think I'd rather talk about the Cavs of the Indians myself. But
Cavs, good Lord.
The offer list is out of sight for Savon Haider, and not surprisingly, he's got 4 official visits scheduled, and one of them is to Ohio State. He's got Ohio State May 30th to June 1st. He's got Georgia after that. He's got Michigan after that. And then he has Tennessee. So that's his 4 visits right now in order. I think NIL will be obviously involved there. And right now, I guess if I had to pick a school, I wouldn't necessarily pick one. I would say that if I had to say right now, I'd probably go with the Field versus Ohio State. But it's early. I think he's going to take his visits and see how they go.
Mark, we'll finish the show with you saying something nice about Savon Haider.
If you watched my evaluation I was profusely exuberant, which isn't like me. I usually don't get the cart in front of the horse, but boy, I mean, he is Henderson 2.0. I'm thinking he has a little Jahmyr Gibbs in him, and I'm tip of the spear type comparisons for this kid. I was really, to be a 200-pounder already that runs like that. The breakaway speed, the elusiveness, the power, the vision. I mean, I could go on. So yeah, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I'm going to talk to the end of the podcast about this kid.
So I have to give Bruce some credit here because he has a great sense of humor. I spoke briefly with Dan's favorite French tailback, Favor Aki. Someone told me, Dan, it's favor here. Aki is in Spanish, so that's the way I should think of it. And that just confused me even further. But we'll get some Favor Aki coverage here coming up. Not yet offered by Ohio State, but definitely in the mix. Appreciate these guys stopping by, the Dean, the Grand Poobah. But first, I got to read you guys one more ad. If you've held out to this point, you're a tremendous Bucknutter, and you're probably hungry. Factor Meals is what you need. Ready to optimize your nutrition? Chef-made gourmet meals that make eating easy. Dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. I have one son who will not eat chicken. He will eat it out of Factor Meals. They have solved the matrix. They also have 40 options across 8 dietary preferences. Menu changes each week. If you are a guy on the go or a woman on the go, this is the spot for you. Eat smart with Factor, and you get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thank you for sticking it out. Have a good one, Nutters of Buck.